Something exciting is happening. Many Jews today feel the need for a revitalized Judaism. People are searching for a more vital and authentic mode of Jewish expression, and more than ever we need to shift not only physically but spiritually out of exile mode. This is Torah Nation TV from Jerusalem, and we are speaking with the head of Machon Shilo, Rabbi David Bar-Hayim. Shalom, Rabbi Bar-Hayim.
Shalom.
Is Kadish to be said by one person only, or can it be said by many people simultaneously?
The original and correct minhag, custom, is that Kadish is said by one person at any given time. This was the original practice of all of Am Yisrael, in fact. It was certainly the original practice of the Ashkenazim, something which I will explain in a moment. It is still the practice of the Temanim to this day, that only one person at a time says Kadish. And the minhag of saying, many people saying Kadish together, began some generations ago amongst the Sfaradim for different reasons, and eventually spread also to the Ashkenazi world. And today that is considered the normal and standard practice. But this practice is in fact very problematic for a number of reasons. First of all, you have to understand that Kadish is not some kind of magic formula that a person who suffered a bereavement is supposed to say, and if a person finds himself in that position, he is required to say it, come what may, despite and notwithstanding any and all other considerations. That is not the case. Kadish is part of the tefillah of the tzibur, is part of the public order of tefillah in the Beit Knesset, in the synagogue, and as anything else in the Beit Knesset that is said by the Hazan, by the person leading the prayer, the Hazan says those things that the Hazan is supposed to say alone, and other people are not supposed to join in with him. Kadish is part of the order of tefillah, and that is why, as we know, at different points during the tefillah, the shliach tzibur, the person leading the minyan, recites Kadish as part of the order of the tefillah, the standard normal order of things. Whether he's a Mourner or not has nothing to do with it. And any Kadish that is said in the Beit Knesset, by whomever it may be, is part of that same order of tefillah that is said in the Beit Knesset, in the shul, when you have 10 or more people present. And therefore it is very problematic and very detrimental to the decorum and to the order and general atmosphere in the Beit Knesset when Kadish is said by many people, because it is usually the case that when many people recite Kadish together, they are not able to say it exactly at the same pace. They are not able to say it together word for word, and therefore different people reciting the Kadish arrive at the different points in the Kadish, such as Amen Yehei Shmei Rabbah. They arrive at that point at different moments, and people are in fact at a loss as to what to do. Are they supposed to answer to the first person, the second, the third, the fourth, or the fifth, or the 13th person saying Kadish at that moment? And it leads to a cacophony, which is a little bit like a marketplace, and it does not add to the kavod of the Beit Knesset. It does not lead people to respect and show the proper attitude towards what goes on in the Beit Knesset. And it's more like some kind of a grab what you can, each man for himself atmosphere and situation. And that is truly not what the tefillah and the Beit Knesset is all about. So the first thing to understand is that Kadish is part of the tefillah and is supposed to be recited by the Hazan. So therefore you might ask, why do we have this concept at all of Kadish Yatom, of Mourner's Kadish? The essential reason is as follows. The tradition that connects Kadish to mourning has to do with the fact that we learn in the Gemara in Sanhedrin, for example, and in other sources, that a son can do something, so to speak, for his parents' soul after death by performing particular mitzvot, particular good deeds in this world. And one of the central things mentioned in this regard is being the Shliach Tzibur, leading the tefillah, and therefore, because you are the Shliach Tzibur, it is therefore obvious that you are the person leading the minyan is the person who says Kadish, which is a very powerful and essential part of the tefillah, is one of the most central tefilloth that we have, and it has a special place in the order of the tefillah and the Beit Knesset. So if you are the Hazan, you're the one who says the Kadish, you're the one who says Baruch Hu. These are important parts of the tefillah which cause and bring about a situation, reality of Kiddush Hashem Berabim, because the Hazan says something, then the Tzibur responds. When you have 10 people responding to such an invitation to praise Hashem, that is a great mitzvah of Kiddush Hashem Berabim, and this is something which enables the mourner to do a very powerful and special good deed, which can be chalked up, so to speak, to the credit of the deceased. Therefore, the essential and most important thing for a mourner to do is to be the Shliach Tzibur. However, it's obvious that you can't have everybody being a Shliach Tzibur together. Sometimes we have a reality in which we have a mourner, a child, who is in mourning for his parent, but is not old enough to be the Hazan, the Shliach Tzibur, to lead the minyan. Or, alternatively, sometimes we have a person who is of the right age, but is not familiar with the tefillah. He doesn't know how to be the Shliach Tzibur. And therefore, what we can offer such a person, the most we can allow him to do, and the most he is capable of doing, is to say the Kadish. So the custom became, over time, to set aside certain recitals of Kadish for such people. And that became known as Kadish Yatom. This is a minhag. This is a custom. It is not a halacha, and it is certainly not something which overrides the general and very important consideration of how the tefillah in the Beit Knesset, in the synagogue, how it is perceived, how it runs, what the atmosphere in the shul will be. These things cannot be overridden by this consideration of Kadish Yatom. And therefore we find in the famous Teshuvah of Maharam Mintz, famous Ashkenazi Posek, in Siman Pei, and we find this copied at length in detail by the Levush in Siman Chof Lamed Gimel, and in the Magen Avraham on the Shulchan Aruch, Siman Chof Lamed Beth. All the different minhagim regarding the reciting of Kadish when you have more than one person who wishes to say Kadish. And there we see plainly that 600, 500, 400 years ago, and probably even well beyond that point, the practice was that one person said Kadish at any one time. That's why we find in those sources discussions about what to do when you have 4 people who have a yortzeit, who have a memorial day for their father or for their mother, and how to divide the different Kadishim during the day amongst those people. None of this, of course, would be necessary. This entire discussion would be obviated if everyone were to say Kadish together, and that in fact is why I believe, or at least one of the reasons, that this practice began amongst the Sfaradim, of everyone saying it together, because the business of trying to divide the Kadishim amongst the different mourners and adjudicating the arguments and claims and counterclaims between them regarding this matter became too much, I think, for anyone to handle, and the decision was made, well, let's just everyone say it together. But this is a very unfortunate departure from the original practice, where Kadish is said by one person. This is by far the preferable and more correct minhag. It should be possible for these issues to be decided by whoever is in charge in the Beit Knesset, or by common sense and goodwill amongst the different people present. And everyone must understand, everyone should understand, that the overall order of things and proper practice and conducting of the tefillah and the Beit Knesset overrides all other considerations. And saying a Kadish for a parent or for anybody is not an essential halacha. It is a custom, and it is not something which must take precedence over all other considerations. This is the original practice, was the original practice amongst all of the Jewish people, and to this day is the practice amongst the Temanim. And it would be wonderful if all Jews would get their priorities straight and return to this original and much more correct and reasonable custom.
Thank you, Rabbi Bar-Hayim. We would like to encourage our viewers to share these videos with friends and send in your responses. We would also like to suggest the following opportunity to our viewers. If you identify with Rabbi Bar-Hayim's message and would like to sponsor or dedicate a video interview with the rabbi in honor or memory of a loved one, if you would like to obtain Birkon Nusach Eretz Yisrael or invite the rabbi for a speaking engagement, please email us at office@machonshilo.org.